All right, the recording has started, and this is the July 27th, 2021 Rook community meeting. We don't have any 1.5 activity planned. I know we just did a 1.6.8 just last week. I've linked that, the release notes here in the agenda documents. A number of bug fixes were included in that one, so a lot of activity there. Anything like big items fixes worth mentioning there, Travis, Seb, Blaine?
I put a follow-up later in the meeting notes just about these phantom Atari partitions, but
okay,
we can talk later about
yeah, we can talk about it then. I think, yeah, and Blaine might have stepped away for a second too, so we'll do that then. Okay, and then so we got 1.6.8 out just last week, and we'll have a 1.6.9 on the somewhat typical cadence, few weeks, I guess, later. So Thursday, August 12th is when the 1.6.9 is planned. Let's take a look at the project board and see what are the high priority or issues of interest to talk about for 1.6.9.
Yeah, and for the timeline on 1.6.9, it's just the cadence. I don't think there's any burning issues, of course, to get out. Since 1.6 has been out for a while now, I think the 3 or 4 weeks between patch releases is what we're at this point. So that's all. And the 1.6 board, were you navigating to it? I don't see it on your screen, but
oh, you don't see the 1.6 board on my screen right now?
all I see is the Google Doc, the agenda.
Oh, huh, that's weird. Yeah, I have that open, the 1.6 board on my tab right now. Let me stop sharing and try to start sharing again. That's weird.
Did you just share the app, or you shared your whole screen?
I shared the whole Chrome.
Okay.
Can you see the 1.6 board now?
It's like,
see, dark screen.
It just says
nothing.
Really?
Just black. Yeah. It says you've started screen sharing, but now it's black.
What about now? Do you see the agenda document?
Nope. Still just black.
Whoa, that's never happened to me before. I've seen other people have this issue with Zoom before, but that's never happened to me. Let me try. We'll just share it one more time, and then I might exit and come back, Travis, while you drive for a bit. All right, so I'm sharing all of Chrome. Do you see the agenda document?
No. How about if I just share?
Yeah.
Sometimes happened with me when you have dual monitors.
Huh. Interesting, Santosh. Hey, go ahead and try to share, Travis.
All right. Let's see. Share. And there. Okay. Can you see my agenda now?
Yep, I can see yours just fine.
Okay. So now if I try, you want to go to the 1.6 board?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yep, I see your board there. No problems.
1.6 board. Okay. So yeah, here we are. As far as the issues in here, so I've got one that's in progress that Shubham has a PR for merging and appending OSD placements. And then otherwise, oops, there are a couple of issues Blaine was just going to look into to see. I don't think they need to be in 1.6 probably, but did you have any quick update there, Blaine, or we can take it offline? Is Blaine back yet? Maybe not. All right, yeah. So I don't think these are 1.6 issues really. I just pinged them an hour before this meeting about seeing if we can clean those up.
Looks like Blaine is back now. He's off mute, so maybe.
My microphone thingy is not. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yeah. Did you hear the question or just got back to your desk?
I just got back in time to hear you ask if I had gotten back.
Okay. Yeah, we were just looking at the 1.6 board and these issues. Two issues I just pinged you about before the meeting. If you had any quick update on if there's anything we need here for 1.6, or we can move them out.
I will take a look. I haven't had a chance to look quite yet today.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll take a look and then move them as appropriate. I guess I haven't heard of like any more issues related to those ones.
Mhm. Yep. If we just need a repro, or if we can't repro, we can close them.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yep. Anything else on the 1.6 board or 1.6 topic? Alrighty. On to 1.7. So, Jared, did you want to keep driving even though I'm sharing, or? I'll just wait
No,
for you?
I think it's easier for whoever's sharing to keep driving.
Sure. Okay. For 1.7, then we did get the 1.7.0 beta 0 release out yesterday. I did not do a very good job communicating that out, just because with all of the new changes to the GitHub Actions and the fact that it's all based on the GitHub Actions now, there was no Jenkins involved in this, which is awesome. I just want to do some final validation before getting the word out for people to try it out. So I'll plan on that today, and other people are welcome to try out the beta.0, of course, at this point. If I look at the board for 1.7, then I think so. There's a blocking release column that let's make sure that any issues that need to be in before 1.7.0 is released, if we could make sure they're there, that'll be great. I think we have the standard update to the upgrade guide that we'll need. So Blaine, you're working on that, I think. And then I don't know of any other issues right now, honestly. But we'll get an issue open to track there. And otherwise, yeah, there's a bunch of to-do items for 1.7. I just think they're all just kind of nice to have, or we'll see if they come in a patch release later. Yeah, and then for the timeline of 1.7.0, so just given, I want to make double sure that the new GitHub Actions are stable. I'm thinking if we move it out to early next week, Monday or Tuesday. Did I put Monday on there? I was thinking I put Tuesday, but just to give a little extra time for the blog and upgrade testing and everything.
Yeah, I think you had Tuesday, Travis, but it was Tuesday 8.2, and I think the second is Monday. So if you made Tuesday, then 8.3 would be.
Okay, I'm going to change it to that then as my proposal. Whoops. Does anybody have any concerns about waiting till that Tuesday? Or comments on that date, if that works for people?
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable.
For me?
Okay. So with that then, any other questions for 1.7 before we move into the more specific topics? Okay. So related to the build and GitHub Actions, so I just wanted to point out a couple of things. The release build now is based on pushing a tag. So as soon as a tag is pushed to the repo, the action will automatically build and push the images for that tag and promote that build as well. So basically the workflow is we merge things into the release branch, and the release branch build is kicked off and the tests run and the build is published but not promoted. And then once the person doing the release sees that, oh yeah, the tests are all good, it's ready to be released, then we push the tag and it'll, in the next half hour, we'll have the release out there. So yeah, it's just much more streamlined from what we had with Jenkins, where we'd push the tag and then start the build and then wait an hour and a half or two for the build to complete. And then it would frequently have a random failure and then we'd have to restart it. And yeah, it's just more streamlined.
So now we're down to 30 minutes. Is that what you said, Travis?
Yeah, once we decide to tag it, it's
Yeah.
30 minutes to publish roughly.
Okay, well, it's a huge improvement for sure.
Wait, and Travis,
Right.
what's the big delta there, or the cause for the big delta in a much shorter time frame? Did we not run all the same integration tests again, or for the final build?
Well, so what I'm saying is, so the last commit we always do for the release is where we update the manifests with the release version, right?
Yep.
So we'll push that commit, and well, honestly, if we add that step in, it's not quite as much of a time savings. But so when we push that commit, we'll wait for the CI to complete, and we'll see that if things passed or failed, and if we see that, oh, it all passed except for a couple of intermittent issues, then we'll decide to tag it, and it'll be released within a half hour. I mean, so the real improvement here is that all of those tests, all the integration tests, run in different GitHub actions, so they're basically in parallel instead of all being serially run on Jenkins. Right, so all the integration tests take like a half hour or less total instead of an hour and a half. So I think we should save a good hour there anyway.
Yeah, because we don't have to wait for a runner to be available, so we don't have to queue the job. And then Jenkins was running unit tests first, and then running integration tests, which was obviously adding more time. Or just like Travis said, everything runs in parallel here. The builds, as well as the unit tests, are different operations. But yeah, that's where we're saving so much time, I guess. And we don't
Yeah,
have to wait for resources to be available too.
All the parallel actions. So yeah, one comment I want to add on that. So the event of pushing a tag, that in this beta release was still a manual process. So basically I went into my local enlistment, made sure it was all clean, and then added a tag and then pushed the tag. Really, we need a place to do that, like from the GitHub UI, where it's like, go tag this branch, and so we don't risk any local changes that are happen to be on the machine of the person releasing it. So I still need to look at that, or if somebody is more familiar with the GitHub UI, let's chat.
Yeah, and Travis, we in the Crossplane project, we have a GitHub action to tag a particular branch, or a particular semantic version, and that's part of our release workflow there. So that could be something that helps. We could reuse for Rook too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, if you want to have a reference to that, that sounds perfect. Just a GitHub action, then you just manually trigger it, right?
Yeah, then you just go into the GitHub UI and the workflow actions workflow, and then just run it and tell it what tag or what version you want to tag it, and then which branch, which release branch, and poof, off it goes.
Cool. Yep, that sounds like exactly what we want.
Or yeah, I guess we could also, I was thinking about something similar where we would use this tagging action, but it will react based on the merge of a particular PR with maybe a particular label, which would mean, okay, this is the PR that we merged before releasing, and then we know this will trigger a tag, and then the tag will trigger the build, something like this. If we really want to automate everything, I guess.
Right, I think, well, at least I'm not ready to go with that much automation, because I want to wait until a build is completed and just verify the tests are good before we go ahead with release. Because we wouldn't want to release the build before the tests have completed and passed and all that.
No, but you don't. But yeah, we can discuss this offline. But yeah, still introducing this action and run it manually would be a first good step for sure.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. If that's all the thoughts on tagging, then the other item I want to follow up on is with our beta releases. So far we have not had the pattern of promoting that build, which basically means the Helm chart is published. I was looking at the Helm chart versioning, and it looks like it should support our beta tag just fine. So I want to look at promoting the builds so Helm charts can be tested on the beta releases before we're ready for the final release. Someone commented on like the GitHub issue I was looking at yesterday for the release process, and they requested that specifically too. So there is a need for that. With this new release, we also have the new cluster Helm chart, which they specifically wanted to test as well. That's all good. Okay, any questions or comments about build before we move on? All right. We've mentioned this in the last couple of meetings, but I just wanted to make sure everyone's clear on what would be coming with Rook 1.8. Originally, discussions were around doing these deprecations in 1.7, but we moved it out to 1.8 just to make sure people have more time for the transition. So the first one being the Flex driver will be removed in 1.8, and a Flex volume migration tool is in process. So we'll, Shubham and someone else from the CSI team will be working on that here. Shubham, actually, any update you want to bring here, or it's still pretty early? Still on mute, or no? Okay, we'll move on. So see, I'm getting some sort of feedback here. No, Shubham, we can't hear you. So, all right. Well, yeah, in the next meeting, I think we'll plan on talking more about this tool. That'd be good when we've had more time to start on it. Then the next deprecation is Ceph Nautilus. We'll be ready to remove support for it. Pacific has been out for a while already. Nautilus is at end of life for Ceph upstream support. And so we'll remove that in 1.8. And then by removing the Flex driver, I think we'll be ready to bump up our minimum Kubernetes version to 1.16. That will move us up to the V1 CRDs and remove some of our duplication and trying to support both. So that will be helpful. I know, and that might mean for 1.7, we try to support it a bit longer than usual, just in case people are still on the older Kubernetes versions. But with 1.22 coming out here in the next couple of weeks, let's see, that would give us what, 7 versions of Kubernetes, even if our minimum version is 1.16. I'm hoping that's sufficient. Any comments or concerns about those deprecations?
Yeah, Travis, you might have just said it. Sorry, I didn't hear it, but that's kind of a bigger jump than normal for minimum Kubernetes version from 11 to 16. Was there specific functionality in 16 that we were going to be requiring or taking a dependency on going forward?
Yeah, well, the biggest one that stands out there is that's the CRD's V1. So we wouldn't have to support the beta,
right?
The beta CRDs anymore. I'm worrying about that conversion. It gives us better schema validation and all of that.
That sounds good. Yeah, so some of the cloud provider like managed services, managed Kubernetes offerings like GKE, they're already past all the 1.16 too. I think their minimum now is like 1.18, maybe moving to 1.19 soon. So they're beyond this as well too. So I don't think we're going too far ahead of anybody or being too aggressive.
I feel like it's being pretty generous to support 1.11 that long. So
Yeah, well, that for sure. But 1.16 is still fairly reasonable as a minimum, I'd say.
right. Cool. All right, if there's no other comments about that, Blaine, do you want a quick summary on Atari partitions and LVM mode and raw mode and all that?
I don't really want to, but I will. Yeah, after a lot of like false starts and like trying to fix the issue in some different ways and always hitting a roadblock somewhere, ultimately I fixed the issue for 1.6 by reverting back to using LVM mode for disks. The Atari partitions appear very reliably whenever a blue stored disk is more than, I think, like 875 gigabytes. And yeah, I ended up just going through the Atari like partition table specification and through like the Linux kernel code and realized that whoever wrote this Atari partition table support was really lazy. And it creates a lot of issues when OSs enable that support for the data that does not meet the Atari specification to appear to the Linux kernel as one of these phantom Atari partitions. It doesn't happen with LVM mode, or at least it doesn't like negatively affect Ceph in LVM mode. I have seen some evidence of it still appearing in LVM mode. It just doesn't, like the LVM containers kind of hide the issue from becoming a problem. The recommended workaround is for users to create large partitions on their devices if they still want to use raw mode, if they don't want to like have LVM on their hosts, or for whatever reason they don't want to use LVM. And yeah, I have a PR in Ceph volume that will like effectively work around the issue in Ceph volume. I spoke with Sage and we decided that that was the best course of action. The other kind of reasonable course of action might have been to change the like first like 512 byte sector that the OSDs put down, but that would require OSD format updates. Whereas working on the issue in Ceph volume, like that is like the tool for provisioning Ceph disks for Ceph. And the only other like alternative is to fix the Atari code in the Linux kernel, but then it could be years before some users actually get a fix for that. And it's hard to determine like from the Rook side whether the kernel would have that fix or not. So I guess that's the like small but not so small nutshell of the last couple weeks of work on that.
Yep. Sounds good. So we'll get back to raw mode after we have the Ceph volume update. Okay. And if there are no more comments on that, I still have an action item from the last meeting or two about updating or replacing the Fossa license scanning so we can get a clean run there and continue having a run. There's no known license issues. It's just the tool is not cooperating to give us a good positive pass message. So, all right. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Is there anything else anybody wanted to bring up? Going once, going twice. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Travis, for your screen sharing.
We'll call it good. I was just looking, how do I stop? Oh, there it is. Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later.